Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Media Boat Podcast. Hi, today is April the 28th, 2021. This is episode 277, Sunset Strip of the Media Boat Podcast. If you don't know that reference, you're under 30. If you do know you're listening to the Media Boat Podcast, then you don't need to listen to the next part. If you don't know you're listening to the Media Boat Podcast, and you're like, what the hell is this? The Media Boat Podcast is a podcast that gives you news and thoughts about movies, television, video games, and music, not necessarily in that order. My name is Matt. His name is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt. Media Boat Podcast. Last Sunday, we had quite a doozy of the Oscars. And if you listen to us, you may have been wrong on some of those.
We'll get there, but yes, our annual apology fest begins as we will have to apologize for the poor judgment we took into Oscar night. But we weren't the only ones. I just want to make that clear.
Yes.
But before we do that, let's start the podcast off like we always do, talking about movies, but specifically talking about the weekend box office numbers.
People are still going back to the movies.
Yes, slowly but surely. But hey, there was something to see in theaters this week. Brand new as your number one is a debut this week. Warner's Mortal Kombat debuted at $23 million. You can also see that on HBO Max, and we will also be talking about that in the thoughts a little bit. Well, at least you will, because I did not have time to watch it. I thought I was going to. I could not carve out time to watch that thing this week. I will try to do it before next week. But anyway, number two, Demon Slayer the movie, Mugen Train was your number two.
Train.
Yeah. Anime, as you probably guessed. $21 million debut for that one.
Does that title sound familiar?
Kind of, because I listened to a couple podcasts. I feel like they mentioned this before.
Yes, including our very own Media Boat Podcast.
Okay.
Remember back in January when the highest anime was broken?
That's what this was. That's what this was.
That's what this was. The English translation sub.
Right.
Dub. Yeah, subtitles.
Waiting for Demon Slayer to come here. Here it is.
Yep.
Coming in number three, Godzilla vs. Kong, still hanging around with another $4.2 million. That's at $86 million domestic so far. Number four, Nobody is at $1.7 million. That's at $21.5 million domestic. And rounding out your top five, Disney hanging on with Raya and the Last Dragon, $1.7 million. That's sitting at a modest $39 million total. But
they can't be happy with that.
But then again, we don't know how it's doing on Disney Plus Premium.
Yeah.
It could be doing amazing numbers and we won't ever know. The next test will be is when it releases in physical form on DVD and Blu-ray. If that sells gangbusters, then we'll know that it probably was a home success.
Right, for everyone who doesn't have access to it on Disney Plus.
Yeah. All right, moving off from box office into new releases, we do have a couple of, new-ish films. I say new-ish because one is new and the other is 10 years old.
It's got a new soundtrack or a new sound to it.
They remixed it. Come on, let's be real.
Okay.
Your new movie this week is Separation. You know what this is?
Horror film.
If you like your horror at the end of April, here's your chance. And then also in theaters and limited engagements in specific theaters, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World gets re-released in a 10th anniversary Dolby Atmos version. So if you want to see it with improved sound in a cool theater environment and you're fully vaccinated and maybe willing to take a little bit of a risk, I guess this is there for you. I wish this had come out at any other time.
I believe because it is Dolby Atmos, it is an AMC only event. So very limited, but hey, one of our favorite films.
Yeah. So that's there if you want to take the risk. But speaking of taking risks, We took a lot of risks last week when we talked about our Oscar predictions,
Ooh.
especially you. So I've done the math since the last time we talked. I myself got 16 out of 23. Combined, we also got 16 out of 23. And you're probably thinking, how is that possible? Because every time you did something different than me, we managed to cancel each other out in other categories.
Right.
So somehow it ended up being 16, no matter how you slice it. I think you did worse than me by yourself, though.
Oh, no, I
Just
definitely
like
did
last
worse.
year. So basically a repeat of last year, except for one exception. Friend of the show, Christy, did not somehow beat us like she did last year. She did way worse. So her patented, I'm going to guess based on the names of the movies thing did not work as well this year, turns out.
No, but you have just as much success throwing this at a dartboard than you would listening to pretty much any other expert try and pick this because, hey.
We went over data points last week about several prominent predictions from existing reputable sources, and they were also largely wrong about the night, though they weren't wrong about everything. So here are the big headlines that you need to know about winners and losers. First up, your best picture went to Nomadland, which was predicted. That was not the surprise. Although the surprise was Best Picture was not saved for last, but we'll get there later. Next up.
Well, we'll get there sooner than the Academy did.
Yeah. Nomadland's director, Chloe Zhao, also picked up the director prize. She will be the second female director to win and the first Asian female to win in that category.
Second one in 12 years. Last one was Catherine Bigelow for The Hurt Locker.
So yeah,
I guess the only other one.
Correct. Yes, the only other one. That's why I said she's only the second.
Mm-hmm.
Best Actress went to Frances McDormand for her performance in Nomadland as well.
Called it. That was easy one.
Yeah, well, for you.
The actor one, however, wasn't.
Yeah, the actor one, however, shocked everyone as they waited for the very, very, very end of the night to announce Best Actor. And it went to not the late Chadwick Boseman, as we had predicted, as well as virtually everyone else who was running stories about this. No, instead, it went to Anthony Hopkins for his role in The Father. He was not even there to accept. The show had to accept the award for him, and then abruptly ended after Questlove said some stuff about music.
So Olivia Colman was supposed to accept the award. However, because it was at the end of the night and they were running late or over their time, they immediately said, Anthony Hopkins, that's our show. Good night.
It was an awkward end. I saw some people on Twitter comparing it to that moment when you're at the last call at the bar and the lights go out. That's how kind of it felt. Because traditionally they keep Best Picture for last because it's the big moment. It's supposed to be the biggest award. Plus, you get an entire crowd of people on the stage to say goodbye so you can roll credits on everybody hugging and being happy. Without that, you don't have any of that. And just kind of deflated like a balloon. It was weird.
I mean, it got super deflated when Chadwick Boseman didn't win.
Right.
Because left everyone with a, wait, what happened? Kind of look on their face.
Yeah. It's going to be remembered similarly to the La La Land, No Wait, Moonlight thing, I think, where people are going to look back as like, man, remember how weird that was when we all thought it was going to go this way and it didn't.
At the very least, it gives them credit that they don't know who wins.
That's true. Because the show obviously had changed the structure because they wanted to honor Chadwick at the end. So yeah, I don't know. It was weird, but we'll get to more of the production after we finish these headlines here. Because I do have some thoughts about this year's whole thing.
Right.
But before we get there, your other big winners. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom won both makeup and costume. Mank won for the Production Design Award and for cinematography, which is a surprise to me. I saw film Twitter kind of complaining after the show, talking about how it's basically just shot in digital with a film drain placed on top of it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the sticklers about film production were very upset about Mank winning.
Well, we had that last year with editing, and people were complaining
Yes.
about a talking scene being 40 edits in 2
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
winning editing.
Turns out that some of the people vote. I don't want to surprise anybody. Some of the people voting here do not know what editing or cinematography should look like.
Also, most of the people voting old.
Yeah.
Which
Also,
is typically why you see a lot of old films dedicated to stuff of the past, World War II stuff,
right.
get the nominations more so than contemporary art pieces.
That
which is why Nomadland winning was a success.
Right. Which means it's a little different in a year where everything else was mostly the same. But there were some highlights of the night. One of them was Daniel Kaluuya winning supporting actor for his role in Judas and the Black Messiah, which we had
and then
largely
thanking
called
his parents for their roles in consummating it.
With his mother on screen, a little caught off guard by that. Also in the supporting actress category, Yoo Yeon Jung won for her role in Minari. The Minari's one sole win of the night, but still the one everybody thought that it was going to take. So, and just the most charming accepted speech too.
Yeah.
Best song ended up being a boon for me out of nowhere. I called that correct. It ended up being the Her song from Judas and the Black Messiah. So yeah, all of those Netflix stands looking for the Eurovision song were very disappointed by that one.
I mean, I could have told you it wasn't going to be Eurovision. Oh wait, I did say it wasn't going to be Eurovision.
Yeah.
Although I think I did go for the Trial of the Chicago 7 song.
Yeah.
Which is also Netflix, I guess. So
you were close. You were close. The writing categories were a split, as one predicted winner did win and the other did not. Your original screenplay did go to Emerald Fennell as predicted for Promising Young Woman, but adapted ended up going to The Father in a big upset against Nomadland.
See, I picked the upset in the best supporting actress here for The Father. Should have gone for the writing.
So that means I at least got one of the writing categories this year right, but the other one very wrong. And then sound and editing both went to Sound of Metal. The two reasons probably you saw that movie nominated for Best Picture. Yep. Sure enough, here it is. And animated feature, as predicted, went to Soul, but also score. So Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross won against themselves with the added spice of John Baptiste, and they wisely let John Baptiste just have the entire speech. They've been there, done that. He had not. And so it was cool that they let him speak, especially because his jazz music was so core and important to what Soul ended up being. So it made sense.
Right. I mean, now John Baptiste has an Oscar and a Grammy.
Oh.
I think he might be Emmy nominated because of Stephen Colbert.
So he's just got to get that Tony.
I didn't say that. You said that, but hey,
he's just got to get that. He could get that Tony. So yeah, those are the big headlines. We missed a few little ones, like documentary went to Octopus Teacher.
We called that.
Short subject ended up being which one was that? Because it wasn't the one I had predicted. Oh, that's right. That ended up being one of the weirdest awards of the night, because that was the one that went to Colette, which was the film that was released as part of a co-marketing deal with, get this, Media Boat listeners, the EA/Respawn Entertainment Medal of Honor VR game for Oculus.
Right, that was documentary short subject.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And
yep,
it blew my mind when the people accepting mentioned EA and Respawn in their speech, because I had not known that going into this. And then, yeah, so sure enough, Respawn Entertainment, the company that brings you Apex Legends and the Titanfall series, now has an Oscar on their shelves. Goes to show you, weirdness abounded in this broadcast here.
So during E3, can we expect Oscar winning EA?
Yeah, Academy Award winning. Respawn Entertainment brings you. But yeah, so let's flip it off in the big winners and talk more about the general look of the show. So they went for a
let's
very
talk about the look of the show.
yeah, they went for a very different approach this year. It took place in the middle of Union Station, just big, giant, open area. So they took advantage of that by shooting it not like they do typically in the Dolby Theater, and shooting it more intimately, like a filmic, letterboxed presentation. I thought it was actually kind of cool, but by the time you got halfway through the ceremony, it stopped mattering, and you just realized, oh, this is just a reward show now. But for the first 20 minutes, I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, I liked the difference that it did.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that kind of aspect ratio. It did give it a more filmic view. It was shot in 24 frames.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2.35 aspect ratio. So it did give it that cinematic quality, which I'm going to point to Steven Soderbergh's production on that.
Probably.
As he was one of the big executive producers for this show. Also, if you noticed, they cut almost all of the clip packages.
Yes. They saved clip packages for the big categories. And by big categories, I mean animated feature, documentary feature, and best picture. Is that a good choice? I don't know, but they did.
Definitely cut on time because it allowed them to not cut off speeches.
Right.
So I think it was a good give and take.
Of course, also there's the note about Questlove's not going to cut them off, and they don't have an orchestra, so who's going to cut them off?
It'd be Questlove.
Yeah, and he's not going to do it.
I thought at one point I did hear some music start playing.
I did, yeah.
But it was like very low. So I'm not sure if that was something that I just heard in my head, thinking they should probably wrap it up.
I mean, and in the end, you did get a 3-hour plus ceremony because of that. So they didn't get the time-saving measures that they wanted. But hey, it was still interesting to look at. And that's not something you can say about the Oscars presentation every year. So
no, but people were complaining about the in memoriam section.
Yeah.
And how fast it went.
It was very fast. I think what they were trying to do is that when the music behind it was speeding up, they would speed up the names as well. Yes. It was supposed to be to the rhythm of the song, which, it does come across as potentially disrespectful for the people that were in the faster portions. Also, in a year like 2020, it's probably impossible for them to literally name every single person that was involved in the movie industry. So they missed some names. I saw somebody specifically referencing Adam Schlesinger not being on that list, even though he was nominated for an Oscar for That Thing You Do. So, it is what it is. They can only do so much.
Right. There's only a set amount of list of names submitted, and they have to somehow fit all those names into a 4-minute package.
And they have to get assets for them. They have to get pictures and voice samples potentially. And so, it's a process. So, can't really blame them for that one.
No. But overall, the viewership was down under 10 million for the first time in several years. Yeah.
Again, not surprising when you hear this every year after the Oscars telecast, but the movies that are nominated are directly correlated with the ratings. If you put enough movies that people actually actively have seen, your Avengers Endgames, your Dark Knights, you're going to get an uptick in viewership. If you don't have any of those, that's going to be a down year. This year was especially complicated because it wasn't only a down year for those kind of releases being nominated, but it was also a down year for movies in general. So these movies, probably not very many people who are watching their televisions on a random Sunday night have seen. Even with the availability of streaming.
A lot of people who don't go to them, I mean, nobody went to the movies until like Kong, a month ago.
Right.
So all of 2020, if you didn't go to the movies, you didn't care about the Oscars because it's like, oh, there were still movies? I guess so, maybe. I didn't go, so I didn't watch, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
And even with the full push of streaming, and being able to watch these films on streaming. Netflix and Amazon had big pushes. I mean, even your best picture winner is available on Hulu.
Yeah.
You didn't see a whole lot of push from those outlets.
I think the Academy, just like a lot of things over the course of the last year, just looked at it and was like, this is not the big push. We don't need to. It's kind of a wash. Like, these things are already being kind of viewed as a wash until we get back into the process of making and seeing movies like we always do. And so until we get there, there's going to be lower stakes contests. And this just happened to be a lower stakes contest this year, which is fine. But it's not going to get viewers because the viewers don't care. Now, if Sonic the Hedgehog had been nominated for Best Picture,
it'd been nominated for Best Animated Film.
it isn't even 100% animated. It doesn't belong there either. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not actually advocating for this, by the way. I have still not
that
seen
was
it.
The joke that yes, only Sonic came out.
Yeah. Detective Pikachu was 2 years ago. That's right. Anyway, so yeah, overall, I mean, interesting package. Some deserved winners, but ultimately just went out with a whimper. And I think it's going to paint a lot of people's memory of this. Just the fact that we all just thought they were going to honor Chadwick Boseman, and then they distinctly did not.
But, I mean, the Academy chose not to choose him.
Yeah. So. Oh, well. Weird night.
Oh.
Weird night. Okay. Are we ready to move on? Any last comments about?
Yes. One last comment that I'm looking at here. Pixar lost in the animated short film category to If Anything Happens, I Love You.
Yes.
Other than that, congratulations to Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for your Eternals trailer to drop.
Yeah, it did not drop as you thought. We did get trailers for West Side Story and In the Heights, though. So,
yes, we did.
Musicals 2021. You're the musical. I'm calling it. All right. Let's move on and talk about our second story here. Speaking of things from last year, the DC Fandom has returned.
Dome.
Bring back that joke. So, the DC Fandom, just like last year, will be an online event that will return on October 16th, 2 months past last year's event, which was held in August of 2020. No further details about the show were provided quite yet, but last year's event held impressive reveals for The Batman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which has already come out, The Suicide Squad, Black Adam, The Flash, and Aquaman 2. The announcement of the new Fandom for 2021 comes as San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and other conventions are charting a path forward with a return to in-person events, potentially. I say potentially, it's not in the story, but I'm saying potentially, because who knows?
Right.
New York Comic-Con will take place the week prior on October 7th through the 10th, while San Diego Comic-Con is attempting an event over the long Thanksgiving weekend, though that plan is facing an uphill battle. I'm going to finish the unfinished sentence here because I'm going to guess here with the city of San Diego.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
If that wasn't already
right.
But yes, new CDC guidelines this week said that you can have large gatherings as long as you're vaccinated and wear a mask.
But then the question becomes, which has been a thing that sparked a lot of debate over the last few months, how do you prove that you're vaccinated, and how are the people, the staff, to believe you? We don't have any sort of permanent.
The same way someone proves that they're vegan.
Exactly.
They will tell you.
Those cards only show so much because they could be easily forged and or copied. And so there's no way for the staff to use that as the pure identifier. It becomes the honor system at that point. And the risk there, if you have people coming in who naively assume that everybody is telling the truth and that everyone is vaccinated, they're going to be willy-nilly with the precautions.
Are you saying there's a wolf among us?
I'm saying that there very well could be. And they could literally be dressed as a wolf, in fact, which is likely. Basically, this is the Media Boat podcast saying that if this sounds appealing to you, maybe press the brakes a little bit until we get to the end of the year and it seems like it's a better idea. Whether you're in New York or San Diego, keep an eye out for percentages, keep an eye out for what the CDC says going forward. If, hey, by November, they're like, hey, all clear, we're like 90% immunity over here, go for it, go nuts, then yeah, maybe attend Comic-Con, but maybe hesitate until we learn more.
Or you could always cosplay as Scorpion or Sub-Zero and always wear a mask.
Smart. However, the actual story here is about the fandom, and that's online only. So yes, the good news here is that DC is not going to make you risk your life, to see their new announcement. So hey, crack open a Dr. Pepper diet, Diet Dr. Pepper, and enjoy as the streams come in October.
And as they did last year, the streams won't be made available on YouTube, so you can just scrub right through. That's nice. Have to watch the event in its entirety for the reveals.
Well, I feel like people who are interested in the fandom are also the people who will do that, so I'm not too worried about them.
Oh yeah. I mean, they did have the Wonder Woman 1984 premiere, and people were dressing up for that during the event. So
yeah, that's true.
People will dress up and still sit in front of their computers at home.
Well, speaking of dressing up as Sub-Zero and Scorpion, thank you for the perfect segue into movie thoughts this week, as you sat down with a presumed bowl of popcorn and watched on HBO Max Mortal Kombat.
Yes, I tried to make this a date night. Did not go well.
No. Kristen's not into the Mortal Kombat franchise.
In the first 10 minutes, nay, 5 minutes, when the first action scene came on and it was super bloody, she's like, why are we watching this? Let's watch something else.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Which, for Mortal Kombat, it's right up its alley.
It's like, you know what that is, but does she know what that is the question.
No, I just put it on because it was the new movie. I just said, we're watching the new movie release of the week. Okay.
Yeah.
Put it on. Wait, what's this?
But you're right, though. If you know what you're getting into, this seems to deliver that.
Yes. And if you don't know what you're getting into, you
be warned.
May not be as well versed. Like if you're not well versed in the lore, some of the stuff may go over your head. But then again, this is a fan movie made for the fans. And that's probably the best way I could probably describe this film.
Okay.
Because it delivers exactly what a fan would want out of a new Mortal Kombat film. And I say new because of the 90s film.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so to kind of be clear about what this thing is, they tried this before. The original Mortal Kombat released in the 90s, along with that thumping soundtrack that everybody remembers. How does this differ from that approach to adapting the video game?
So unlike what you would think in a video game upgrade adaptation, which is new graphics, because Mortal Kombat is now on 11, 13, I think.
They are beyond. I think the last one was 11, yes. So the next one would be a 12.
Right. So
not including spin-offs.
Right. So this isn't just your typical new engine, new graphics upgrade. This is a complete overhaul to instill lore and bring that lore in from both comic books and the games into a cinematic universe.
Okay.
So they're taking that Marvel DC approach. Let's call it the Monsterverse approach.
Sure.
And saying that this world is yet but the first in a potential 4-film franchise, maybe.
I have heard that apparently some of the actors involved in this did sign 3 to 4 picture deals. So that checks.
And I assume that is, while actors do indeed sign those contracts, those clauses are in there because if it's a hit on their hands, they're going to want to make more, and they don't want to all of a sudden go back to the negotiating table immediately after having a hit on their hands, because actors are going to want more, like, you need me, instead of, maybe we do or don't need you.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
I'm not keen on hinging on that anymore. Not since the late aughts kind of instilled that into regular negotiation powers.
Because fewer things hit as like they used to. And so studios have to be very careful with those franchises because they're not all going to work.
Right. And you only want to bring back the actors that are fan favorites and, let's be honest, are going to sell the toys, because that's where they make most of their money, on the toys, on the merchandising. But going back to the actual film, though.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, bloody as hell.
Yeah.
Got some brutal kills, got some fatalities, got some slicing people open, and it's like, oh yeah, we can do that.
Any
now,
friendships?
CGI has gotten so good that yes, there's basically nothing that can't happen anymore. You're limited by your imagination.
Okay, so if I'm imagining that they have a friendship, does a friendship happen in this film?
Yes, because friendship is power.
No. Like a friendship, like you could. There's a thing in one of the Mortal Kombat games. It's like an equivalent to a fatality, but it's a friendship, where it's actually like, oh no, they're actually cool and they get along.
I mean,
no friendship.
Kinda.
What about babality, which is they turn into an infant? Does anybody turn into an infant?
No, but there is a baby.
Okay. All right. Didn't expect that. What's another weird one from Mortal Kombat? Does anybody at any point show up from the side of the screen and yell toasty?
No, but there is get over here.
I mean, you have
You have to.
You have to. Okay. No toasty, no deal. No, anyway. So sounds like it delivers the Mortal Kombat experience.
Yeah, it does play into the kind of Dragon Ball-esque find your chi or your key to unlock like an upper ability.
Power levels.
Power level in order to like compete, because normal people can't just compete in Mortal Kombat. No,
God, no.
No.
They'd be ripped apart.
Yes, exactly.
By like 4 hands.
That does happen.
This is my Goro move right here.
Yes.
Ooh, ow. Should not do that right now.
Yes, Goro ripping your arms out from you. But yeah, so you need something, a upping ability to compete on the Mortal Kombat everything is life and death scenario.
Hence the name.
Yes, hence the name and the K.
Yeah, hence the K.
Well, the K for the KO, really. But.
Yeah. So it delivers on all that, but here's the question though. Is it good? Because there's good, like, oh, I'm going to see this action movie about people beating up each other and it's really bloody and it's silly and there's cool special effects. Then there's good, which is, oh, there's actually a character arc here and there's interesting story and the dialogue is well written. I'm going to guess probably yes on the first and no on the second.
Yes on the first, but it tries really hard for the second.
I bet.
It tries really hard giving each character a reason for entering Mortal Kombat. It tries really hard to up the stakes. It does do that successfully in the lowest common form of, we're holding your family hostage, you have to fight us.
Oh boy. Okay, sure.
Or you have to fight me kind of stakes. There is the family bloodline lineage.
Okay.
You have to fight this. So
honor. Family honor.
So it's takes the easy way out there in the typical format. But at the same time, I'm not in this movie for expanded deep character lore.
It's like what we were talking about
choreography fighting.
Yeah, we were talking about the same thing with Kong versus Godzilla. It's like if you're coming in here for a deep character study, you're going in with the wrong expectations. Like, come in to watch big things fight. Seems like you're also coming here
Kong and
to watch big things fight.
At least with Kong versus Godzilla, I could see the holes of oh, this is supposed to be the plot thread through. This is supposed to connect through here. This is how they all tie in together. The sub themes. Not so much sub themes with Mortal Kombat when your main theme is fight or the world will end.
Yeah, right.
Which is
fight or die.
But I mean, that's what Mortal Kombat is: fight or die, or it's fight to the death.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So is this a recommend? Do you think, well, obviously I don't think we're going to recommend people to go to a theater to see this, but do you think if somebody wants a fun drive-in experience or an HBO Max streaming experience, do you think you'd recommend it?
It's a good guy film.
Sure. In the stereotypical meaning of the phrase, yeah.
Yeah. In the, I'm a dude, I want some cheap popcorn fun that I can watch and have a good cinematic adventure, because the choreography in this is really good. I think the guys who did The Raid are the ones behind this.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So they were given a no holds barred, do whatever you want. If someone told you no, you can't do it, we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's
yeah.
pretty faithful to a lot of the moves in Mortal Kombat, the game, and what they do.
A lot of uppercuts.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of trying to get somebody to stop jumping.
A lot of leg sweeps. Yes.
Leg sweeps. Yeah. Okay, cool. My last question then, as a video game adaptation, a thing that usually has a track record of being bad, is it a good one of those?
They're getting a lot better.
Okay.
I would put this on par with Tomb Raider.
Okay. So on the scale, let's say of, what's the scale? From original Super Mario Brothers to Detective Pikachu, where are we on the scale?
Oh, you're pretty, I guess, yeah, Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu is probably the best video game adaptation. Let's be real.
Yeah, out there,
Currently.
yeah. Like I said, it'd be around
Tomb Raider,
Tomb
which
Raider
is probably maybe a little bit, not a few notches beyond the middle, I would say.
Yeah.
Like towards the good side.
I think a lot of that has to deal with the special effects and practical effects that they use. A lot of that is really well done here. It does kind of fall short of being a cinematic, wow, you have to go see this.
Okay.
But fans of Mortal Kombat will definitely enjoy this. Okay. And fans of movies in general, because it's just a pretty good film. You know, it's an action film. So if you like action movies, it's a good action movie.
All right. So that sounds like a media vote. Stream it. Let's move on.
Yep.
Because we have more to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Let's talk about TV. And we always start TV with Sports Corner. Sports. It continues to happen. First up.
If this first story sounds familiar, it's because we made a mistake.
Oh, no. So we told you that the NFL draft started on the past Thursday. It actually starts this upcoming Thursday, aka tomorrow, if you're watching this the day it goes up. So yeah, sorry about that. We apologize. But hey, if you're still excited, the NFL draft is still to come. Cleveland, Jaguars, Jets, and 49ers, all, like we said last week, expected to take quarterbacks for the top 3 draft positions. So stay tight. It's happening tomorrow.
Yes. The Broncos recently traded for Teddy Bridgewater from the Panthers. So Panthers are in the market for a quarterback. This doesn't mean Broncos are technically out of the running for a quarterback, but they're beefing up their stock as well. Let's see here. Mac Jones may or may not be the official 3rd pick. We don't know yet. The 49ers are still playing their cards close to the chest. And then the Falcons are still expected to trade away out of that 4th slot. Don't know where yet. Current prediction is for the Patriots to move up and get either whoever's left over, but whoever the 49ers basically don't pick.
Okay.
Between Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, the first 2 picks are all but locked right now. Okay. Which will be funny if either of them don't submit a pick. Which, by the way, this has nothing to do with that. I should probably talk about this off podcast. I was watching Draft Day the other day because it was on because the NFL draft. Yeah. And there's a situation where someone stole the pick ahead and then was waiting to make a trade with the person behind them for their slot. But there's a rule that if you don't make a pick within within your allotted time, the team after you can submit their pick. So if the not Cleveland Browns team, I think it was Seattle, basically said, yeah, we'll make the trade to move up, but then don't officially call it in, they could still get their guy without losing any picks. So there's some flaws to that, which is like we might see upcoming draft as people don't know who or what they're going to pick. So people might just run out of time.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
So that process starts tomorrow, which is the 29th of April.
Yes. The reason I thought it was the previous week is because it's typically always that week.
Okay. And it wasn't.
But
what was, though, was a 7-inning no-hitter for Madison Bumgarner. It would have been a proper no-hitter if it hadn't been a 7-inning doubleheader game. But here we are.
Yeah. The 38th pitcher to do so, which makes it extremely rare.
Right.
Rarer
more rare, weirdly enough,
no-hitter
than an actual no-hitter. Yeah.
Right. But, because you have to be a part of a doubleheader already.
Right.
For that to happen.
Right. So yeah, the team, I saw a clip of it, team celebrated at the end just like they would if it was a full no-hitter, just lauding praise on the guy. I mean, congratulations. He's a good pitcher. I mean, we don't need to tell you this.
No, throwing a no-hitter is great in baseball.
Yeah. Even if it's slightly shorter than a real game. But, hey.
Yes, it will not go into the official record books as a no-hitter because it is only 7 innings. But if there's a special section for doubleheader no-hitters,
there should be, if you ask me.
Well, then he joins 38 other pitchers on that list.
Congratulations. Next up, we have a little update for you about an ongoing story that we've had for a little bit going here about NBC and the NHL. So we talked about ESPN making wheeling and dealing with a couple of different leagues, including the National Hockey League, and we talked about NBC dropping NBC Sports as a label and thus maybe losing their hockey deal. Well, yep, sure enough, NBC has left negotiations with the NHL completely at this point.
Yep, they just stopped talking with them. So after this season, NHL on NBC will officially no longer be a thing.
Yeah.
But then where do they go?
Well, thank you, because that's the perfect Subway.
Delicious.
I know. I'm getting hungry for a sandwich. Perfect segue into our first news story in TV news, which is about where the NHL did go. Well, turns out they made a deal with WarnerMedia. WarnerMedia has gained the rights to show live NHL games on its 2 cable networks, TBS and TNT, as well as its streaming hub, HBO Max, in a 7-year deal valued at least $200 million. This is in conjunction with the ESPN deal we already talked about, secured over the same 7-year period. Under terms of the pact, WarnerMedia's TBS and TNT will get to broadcast the Stanley Cup Final and parts of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time. Though ESPN will get the final 4 times the next 3 years, and Turner will have it on 3 occasions. TNT will have exclusive rights to the league's annual Winter Classic as well. Overall, Turner Sports will get rights up to 72 regular season games each season, and will be able to show those games on HBO Max and via a variety of mobile screening options. Turner can also show clips and highlights via its Bleacher Report and House of Highlights venues. Turner is likely to focus first on NHL programming for TNT and TBS, he said. The company did not announce what day of the week would be devoted to hockey, given TNT's schedule already encompasses baseball and basketball games as well as AEW wrestling. And over time, we'll start to focus more closely on opportunities for programming on HBO Max. I'm guessing when it fiscally makes sense to do that as opposed to running them on cable first.
Yes, I think that was from the Turner Sports CEO or operations manager.
So yeah, I mean, more or less, we saw something like this coming, but I don't think we would have ever guessed Warner.
No, and adding HBO Max and Bleacher Report to that as uh encompassing streaming deals.
Mm-hmm. Smart.
Oof,
It's smart.
it's smart.
It's smart.
That's not a bad oof. That's not a
Yeah,
bad
no,
oof. Don't take that as a bad oof.
it's smart. It's a good
That's a
oof.
smart move.
I think the real smart move here is them looking to the future and being like, people are probably eventually going to watch their sports on streaming networks, and putting that in as an extra reason for hockey fans to be interested in HBO Max doesn't hurt either. TNT and TBS, of course, at this point, TBS mostly associated with baseball. They have a long history of showing Atlanta Braves games, and then
and World Series games
and World Series games as well.
Playoff games.
And TNT, of course, has a long history with the NBA, being associated with that brand for years. So
yes, and the NBA Shaq fiasco, NBA Live, or their coverage of Shaq and Charles Barkley.
Right. So needless to say, they can use the leverage that they already have for sports fans with those existing brands to get them interested in watching NHL broadcasts. So yeah, I mean, this makes sense. It's a good move on Warner's part. And for sports fans, it gives them a lot of different places that they could potentially watch these games.
Yep. It's a good deal. Yeah. I think it's 7 years on purpose to see how streaming plays out over those 7 years.
Also, and the NHL can play them against each other and see if the ESPN broadcasts outdo the Warner and vice versa.
Right. I think that it feels like NHL came forward with a 5-year deal, but then ESPN said, no, let's do 7. Or it was 5, 10, let's be in the middle at 7, sign deal. And then that forced Turner to do the same 7-year deal. Probably. It set the precedent.
Yeah. Exciting if you're a hockey fan, though. A lot of new places.
Exciting sports, because if this opens not just ESPN up, but HBO Max to have its own dedicated sports channel on HBO Max, hey, that's good news for customers.
For sure. That
unless pricing goes up.
Yeah, but hey, we'll cross that digital bridge when we get to it.
Yes.
Speaking of,
cross that off my wallet.
Speaking of crossing digital bridges, on this podcast, we've talked on and off over the years that we've recorded about the idea of digital ownership, about whether you actually own things that you buy digitally. We've talked recently about the PlayStation stores that were almost shut down, including PS3 and PSP and Vita games. We've talked about this with streaming or with rights related to like individual films and movies that you buy digitally online.
We talked about it when the Google Play Store was shutting down its movies and TVs and transferring over to YouTube. And we've always advocated physical media over digital sales.
Well, over the course of these last few years, there's been talk about when will we eventually get an actual court case that tries to decide whether these digital storefronts are allowed or should be able to pull the rug out from somebody who has bought a movie or piece of media and then completely delete it from their library without further notice. Well, that day has more or less started to come. Nothing final here, but Apple has been faced with a federal judge saying that it is plausible that consumers don't know that access to purchased content can be revoked. This comes from a lawsuit moving forward for Apple, telling consumers that they can, quote, buy movies and TV shows. The class action lawsuit is pointed squarely at the iTunes Store, as it alleges that Apple reserves the right to terminate access to what consumers have purchased, and in fact has done so on numerous occasions. Quote, Apple argues that plaintiff's alleged injury, which it describes as the possibility that the purchased content may one day disappear, is not concrete, but rather speculative. We're also adding, the injury plaintiff alleges is not, as Apple contends, that he may someday lose access to his purchased content. Rather, the injury is that at the time of the purchase, he paid either too much for the product or spent money he would not have, but for the misrepresentation. This economic injury is concrete and actual, not speculative, as Apple contends, satisfying the injury in fact requirement of Article 3. So this is potentially good news for a consumer because this is a federal judge pointing out that the language Apple uses does not warn a consumer that the money that they spent on the thing that they bought is what they think it is. It's potentially deceptive, and the courts are now starting to point that out.
Right. As we've pointed out constantly, when you buy something, you don't necessarily buy it for the life of the license.
Mhm.
You buy it for the life of the company that's providing it to you.
Not only that, but you're also buying it by the terms of the EULA that they make you say you agreed to. Because as the court points out here, Apple had it in their thing that they do have the right to do this, but most consumers aren't going to know that. Most consumers are going to go into that transaction assuming that they got the thing because they bought it because it says buy on the thing. And how are they supposed to know? They're not going to seek through that contract looking for that specific line where it says they don't. And even worse, they might read that line and still assume that it means something different than they think it means. So
Right, because the average consumer is not going to read the EULA.
No.
They're going to see buy. I hit buy.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to put my credit card information? Okay. I accept your terms? Sure. As long as it allows me to buy it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Apple here is trying to play a little game here by saying, well, that's just speculation, because at no point did we say that this happens. No point did we say it's going to happen. We just said that if it happens, they might not have access to the thing. So they're basically saying, you can't sue us. You can't have us legally like in trouble for that because we're just saying that it could happen. They're just saying that it could happen. There's nothing that's happened to the consumer for this to be a problem. While the court is pointing out, yeah, but that's not the point. He's being misrepresented. He thinks he's buying that the consumer here is buying something and they're not actually buying it. It's the meaning of the words that's
right. It doesn't say buy the rights. It's buy.
It buy.
Purchase.
That's all it says.
Yeah. Like you go to a store, you buy it, you own it. So, you go to a digital store, you buy it, you own it.
Mm-hmm.
But that physical ownership of digital media is what comes into question.
Mm-hmm. So the bottom line here is this is a good step forward in this conversation, that the fact that we're getting legal representation against these kind of practices, and hopefully we'll see more of this going forward. We'll see more court cases related to this, and someday we'll get that final verdict at some point where we decide once and for all whether a media company can just pull the rug out from you or more potentially can't. That day hasn't come yet, but it will probably in our lifetimes. So,
yep. I mean, we're getting closer to it, and this lawsuit helps.
Yeah.
I mean, who does it help? We'll see with it.
We'll see, exactly. We never truly know, do we?
Right. Not until gavel is stricken and appeals are done with.
Right.
Because everyone's going to appeal it.
Yeah. Speaking of appeal.
So appealing. Speaking of something that's appealing.
Speaking of something that I'm sure was appealing for you was Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+.
Wait, did you not watch this?
I told you I bounced off immediately after watching the pilot, said it was not for me. So I did not watch any of this. But tell me about this Disney Plus series all about lovable Falcon and a lovable Winter Soldier.
So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier are, in all intents and purposes,
in love.
I was going to say side characters, but sure.
Okay, well,
in love.
Never mind.
The bromance. They're side characters. They're sidekicks. They're not the main focus in Captain America films. I mean, even the title of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, gets second building to Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same here with the Winter Soldier getting second billing to the Falcon.
Right.
But overall, this takes place where Avengers Endgame left off of there is no more Captain America. Do we need Captain America? Do we need that symbol? This is supposed to be a time of peace, and Captain America is a symbol of war and the American war machine. Also note that War Machine is a character yes. in the Marvel universe.
Also War Machine.
See also War Machine. That symbol does exist.
Yeah. It's a whole Wikipedia page, like disambiguation, War Machine, lower caps, War Machine capitalized.
Yes.
Anyways,
this series does a great job of taking essentially the side characters and elevating them to main character status. Yeah. It does that by, well, one, if you haven't been paying attention to social media and had no idea that this was happening, elevating the Falcon to status of Captain America, the new Captain America.
We should say spoilers,
but
but then again, obvious spoiler.
This was planted way back at the end of Avengers Endgame with Sam Wilson getting the shield from Steve Rogers.
Yeah, heavily implied.
Heavily implied that he is the new Captain America.
Yeah,
but it does go into not just the aspect of a Black Captain America, but the story, the actual comic book story, which I didn't know existed and had to actually look this up, of the first Black Captain America, which is an actual comic book story that was already told. They were able to bring that story into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and continue that with Sam Wilson becoming Captain Black, not Black Captain America, because you don't denote that.
They're not calling him that.
They're not calling him that.
Captain America.
As Captain America. And they're not calling him the new Captain America. It's just your Captain America, which is a big step and a big thing to do. You don't denote it. You don't denote the title or rank by the color. You just, that's Captain America.
Right. That's key. That's key.
Yeah. And it definitely takes all 6 episodes, which is shorter than WandaVision, which was 9. It does take all 6 episodes to build up to that moment.
Yeah.
And show you that it's not a mantle taken lightly, but also it's a mantle of where this direction needs to go. And it does a great job of that.
Okay. So even though you know more or less that that's where the series is going, in between, does it do enough interesting things along the way to keep you watching?
It does, because it deals with the blip of the MCU, of all these billions of people just automatically reappearing, and then all of a sudden, what do we do with these people? We just got 5 years settled, and now they're back, and we have to get not just their lives back together, but get the world back together, because hey, they're back now. And 5 years is a long time to be gone. People just, the example they gave was that people have moved into new houses and now the old owners are back. Whose house is it?
Right.
Because people move on in 5 years.
Yeah. But
the Avengers don't.
But we saw that in Endgame. This is interesting because this gives us a glimpse about what's happening with everybody else.
Right. It's the external fallout from Endgame.
Right.
Which WandaVision kind of hinted at.
It hinted
didn't fully because that was a self-contained character story.
Right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is more of a global story. And it doesn't take that title lightly because it is a globe-trotting adventure.
Okay.
You go to different locations, all with green screens, courtesy of Atlanta Productions.
And the Unreal Engine.
Yes. The very real Unreal Engine.
Yes.
But It's a good story. It's more plot heavy, I'd say, than WandaVision, which was very mystery heavy
Right.
and episodic. This felt more like a very close interpretation of the Russo brothers vision,
which makes
Marvel.
sense, because at this point you cannot put a show out that tells a Captain America story without at least echoing the Russo's films, because they're so key to what that character is at this point.
Right, because they took over from Joe Johnson and did Winter Soldier and then Civil War, and that got them to Infinity War and Endgame.
They created the language of what we now know as the traditional Marvel movie structure. Like there existed a structure before them, but they solidified it in a way that no directors had before.
Well, the structure was the Whedon structure,
right?
With Avengers.
And now it's been completely supplanted by the Russo structure.
Right. Yeah. Because James Gunn took the Whedon structure and made it his own.
Right. So, yeah.
So it's good. It's I'm not sure how often I would go back to it as a series.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the same thing can be said about WandaVision, because if you know what's going to happen, you know the plot, you can see the little stuff that you missed the first time, but it doesn't warrant the repeat viewings that some Marvel movies do.
And that's the risk you're taking whenever you have a show that's about solving a mystery or about getting to a piece of a larger puzzle. Like
you get that
Falcon
those water cooler moments.
Right. And WandaVision does have the advantage of having the television show gimmick stuff as kind of a hook. So I do wonder if maybe at the end of this, we'll be looking back and be like, well, I don't know if I'm going to go back, but there's reasons to go back to WandaVision that maybe aren't here in Falcon and Winter Soldier. But then we'll have a third example of this in June with Loki, which from what I can tell is going to be more of a comedy.
Yeah, Loki looks to be a weird comedy-esque time manipulation thing.
Who can say? Honestly, we couldn't have told you what WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier were before they debuted either. So Loki's just going to be that again, where we won't know until we get in it.
I mean, we'll get May off from new Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Until June.
Because obviously May will be Star Wars month on Disney Plus.
Yes. Beginning with the release of The Bad Batch on May 4th.
Yeah. May the 4th.
Which is Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday.
Yeah. Yep, next Tuesday.
So
May the 4th.
Look forward to that.
We'll be talking about The Bad Batch premiere next week.
I guess so. Geez, it's just the Disney Plus train never stops rolling, is I guess what we have to say here.
I mean, that's our train. Never stop, never stopping.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's Popstar.
Yeah. But it does sound like, though, that so far they're 2 for 2. It seems like you really enjoyed WandaVision and you really enjoyed this.
Yeah. And I think the critical reception from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, especially what I've seen immediately from social media,
fairly positive,
is that it's very positive and they're very accepting of Captain America.
Okay.
And what that role has now become.
Cool. No, that's good.
Because
that means...
no more steroids. I mean, super serum.
Anything like that. All right. Well,
but they do set up very slightly the potential villains.
Okay.
For the next series, or not next series, but the next phase, ever so subtly. I can see where it's going, but then again, that's because comic book knowledge seeps in there. So, I won't say it here because it might be spoilers, but if you want that knowledge, it is out there.
Okay.
Just Google U.S. agent and you'll find it.
Wow. Give them a little first taste there.
There's your breadcrumb.
Finish it off. All right, cool. So that sounds like a stream it.
I mean, it's end. So yeah, you would have streamed it.
Streamed it. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
All right, cool. Now let's pivot into things that, you may not be able to stream anymore because they might be canceled. Cancellations and renewals.
Did you watch anything?
No. Got nothing. Just baseball.
Okay. I did watch Pooch Perfect because it was Disney night.
Yeah, but you already talked about that.
We already talked about that.
That is.
And I think Young Rock and Keenan should both be ending soon.
Mhm.
So we'll get caught up
Yeah.
on those and talk about the endings next week.
We will talk about those when we get there. First off, let's talk about cancellations and renewals. Looks like no cancellation this week, but a bunch of renewals for you.
All right, what am I still watching?
From the top, Netflix, Floor is Lava is coming back for a second season.
I'm surprised that wasn't picked up already.
Yeah, I know. Easy COVID show.
Yep.
Endeavor is getting an 8th season on PBS. Secrets of Sulphur Springs, which you talked about just last week, getting a 2nd season on Disney Plus.
Yes, more demo reels for those actors.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Selena plus Chef, which is a cooking show with Selena Gomez, is getting a 3rd season on HBO Max. And CBS is renewing a couple of NCIS shows. First up, Los Angeles will be getting a 13th season. And brand new NCIS Hawaii has been ordered for a full season.
Not sure if this is a spinoff from Los Angeles or any of the other NCISs, but a full season has already been ordered for NCIS Hawaii.
Hawaii. So get ready.
Yep, they're just gonna take the Hawaii 5-0
Yeah,
office and set and just say, "Hey, you're now NCIS."
NCIS now. All right, and we do have one death, unfortunately, this week. Talk about Shock G, age 57, rapper from the Digital Underground, but most famous for the song "The Humpty Dance."
Yes.
He of Getting Busy in a Burger King Bathroom fame. How does he like his oatmeal? He likes it chunky. And also many other songs. Also, a underground rap legend, was known for sticking around in the underground scene even beyond his fame. And yeah, just tragically at 57, just that's way too early. So yeah, sad one for the rap community.
Yeah, famous for the glasses and fake Squidward nose before Squidward was a thing.
Kind of like a Groucho Marx kind of look.
Yes,
was his trademark.
And yes, the Humpty Dance.
Yes,
I'm sure you've heard of the Humpty Dance, and
yes,
I wondered why Burger King was trending, and this was the reason.
Now you know.
And now I know.
Don't go into the bathrooms there. Just if you need to go to the bathroom, go next door to the Jack in the Box. Though it'll be fine.
Maybe right, because no one ever uses the bathroom at a Jack in the Box.
Yeah, maybe for good reason, actually, now that I think about it. Let's move on.
Well, no, you're thinking of a Taco Bell restaurant you should never go into.
I think that is a overdone cliche. I have never had that reaction to Taco Bell. Del Taco,
I've never had that reaction
maybe.
to Chipotle either, and I'm still offended by it.
As you wear your pepper shirt. Not sponsored, I'm assuming.
No, not sponsored.
All
Hell
right,
no.
well,
None of this is sponsored.
Hey, Chipotle, I would like free
sponsor
burritos.
Myself.
Hey, Chipotle, though, if you do want to sponsor us, I would love free burritos. So please, mediabopodcast@gmail.com.
I may get burritos, Chipotle burritos after this. Who knows?
That sounds so good. No, I'll probably just eat something here. All right. Let's move on to music. And I toss this over like a basketball to you, to alley-oop.
Yes. And we always start music with the Billboard. And we start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And we have a new #1 single this week. Well,
no, we don't.
Not new to the chart.
It's the same as last week.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes.
Oh. Rapstar?
Yep.
I thought Rapstar was #2 last week.
No. 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't move #1 this week. That's how I know.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Because I remember Rapstar being at #2. But nope. Rapstar is once again your #1 song this week by Polo G.
Yep.
At #2, Leave the Door Open by Silk Sonic. That got a little bump.
Did.
At #3, Peaches by Justin Bieber featuring Daniel Caesar and Giveon. At 4, Montero, Call Me By Your Name by Lil Nas X. Mm-hmm. And rounding out your top 5, Levitating by Dua Lipa featuring DaBaby.
Happy to see the best song on Future Nostalgia finally charting in the top 5.
Hey, I like that album.
No, I'm saying that it is a good album and that's the best song on it. laying down my opinion now is that is the best song in that record.
All right, sure.
I was waiting for it to be a single.
It's the whole thing is a jam.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you can't have a favorite.
No, it means that it's all your favorites.
Whatever. Give me the albums chart.
Speaking of all your favorites, wait, nope, sorry, never mind.
Nope.
Billboard
And
200 album. Billboard 200, your albums chart. New number 1 album this week. Young Stoner Life, Slime Language.
2.
Yeah. By Young Thug and various artists. Our favorite band.
Yeah, various artists. They pop up every once in a while. It's good to see them still in the studio.
Still making hits after all these years.
Yeah, believe it or not. Longest tenured group to ever be in the top, the Hot 200, the Billboard 200, weirdly enough.
Yeah, various artists, just a little bit here, a little bit there. They continue to find work.
Yeah, somehow. Must be really old at this point.
Oh no, it's like Wu-Tang Clan. They always get new members.
Okay.
Cycle through.
Got it.
Anyways, favorite running joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So congratulations, Young Thug, for Slime Language 2, your number 1 album of the week.
Sure.
Of course, this means that Fearless, Taylor's version, which was your number 1 album last year, moves down to number 2.
Last year.
Well,
last week.
Last year, last week, last
2008.
Day, 2008. I've heard this album before.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, number 2. At 3, Dangerous, the double album by Margaret Wallen. Still here. Still hanging around top 5. At number 4, Justice by Justin Bieber. And new into the top 5, Don't Break This Heart. Achy Breaky Heart. Wait, no, wrong song. This is Heart by Eric Church.
Yes.
I don't believe you throw heart symbols up for Eric Church, though.
No, but the word heart.
Yes, but the word heart.
What you gotta do.
Yep. If you want my thoughts on it, listen to last week's podcast.
Fair enough.
If you did not like any of those albums, we have new releases.
Okay.
First up is your favorite color. Well, someone's favorite color. Rose Gold.
Yeah, somebody's iPhone.
Someone's iPhone. Rose Gold by Ashley Monroe. We also have Turn Up That Dial by Dropkick Murphys. Yes, those Dropkick Murphys.
Famous for that kid in college that you knew's ringtone.
Also famous for that one song you can definitely hear every St. Patrick's Day.
Same thing. Same song.
Yes. We also have Fortitude by Gojira.
Yeah.
And I believe it is pronounced Gojira. I'm not
just
doing
like
a Godzilla.
Just like the Japanese name of Godzilla. Yes.
Yes, it's Gojira.
Gojira.
We also have Earthman Blues by Guided by Voices.
Mm-hmm.
The Million Masks of God by Manchester Orchestra. She Walks in Beauty by Marianne Faithfull and Warren Ellis. Typhoons by Royal Blood. And lastly, Endless Arcade by Teenage Fan Club. That's a good combo. All right, let's get into some music news, shall we?
Yes.
Because someone who's not in the top 5 in either hundreds, but is a Grammy darling.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish.
I mostly included the story because you'll get there. But I would love to hear your rendition, your best Billie Eilish impression going in this story here.
All right. Well, after dropping a brief video on Monday, sporting a new blonde look, Billie Eilish has announced that she will release her second full-length album titled Happier Than Ever on July 30th, and will drop a new song on Thursday morning, meaning tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. Quote, my new album, Happier Than Ever, out July 30th, she wrote in all caps on social media. This is, quote, this is my favorite thing ever created. And I'm so excited and nervous and eager for you to hear it. I can't even tell you.
You can't.
I've never felt so much love for the project than I do for this one. Hope you feel what I feel. Also, new song out Thursday at 9 a.m. too. Oh! And judging by the titles of the songs from the album listed below, it's clearly ironic title as she appears in tears on the cover. Possibly happy tears? Who knows?
Probably not.
But the lyrics do continue the dark at playfully dark times vibe of her Grammy-winning 2019 debut full-length album, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? It includes her two most recent singles, My Future and Therefore I Am, although not her recent collaboration with Rosalia. Like her debut, it was written and produced with her brother and musical collaborator and Grammy Award-winning Phineas. Also of note, not to sweep Billie Eilish under the rug here, she's not the only one with a new album out later this year.
Yeah.
As Lana Del Rey also announced a new album out later this year.
Yeah, that thing's out on July 4th. I didn't include it because I was like, well, one, it broke today. And two, I was like, I feel like we just went through a Lana album cycle. Let's recover from the last one first.
Oh, no, we did. But also both of these are out in July. So that's why I'm mentioning it. That Lana will have two albums out before Billie Eilish puts out this next album.
Yeah. But as for Billie, I just wanted to say this actually makes sense, the thematic approach that she's taking here, along with the name. Because if you consider the documentary, the Apple TV Plus thing, there's a lot of her talking kind of about how she views her fame, how weird it makes her feel. And that, yeah, theoretically, she should be so happy, but it's just led to more complications in her life. And so this album is probably a chance for her to address some of that.
I mean, she did have the song All I Ever Wanted.
Right, which already kind of touched on this.
Right, which was on the album When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?
Weirdly enough, yes.
Because that was in reference to her previous album and winning Best New Artist.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see what this is, but more Billie music. I'm sure a lot of people are very happy. So,
well, I mean, last week we talked about new music from our favorite artist coming out at the end of the year. But equal opportunity here. So Billie Eilish fans, you got new music coming out. I guess we have to listen to that.
Well, I'm sure we will. But we'll get there. We'll get there in July.
We'll get there when we get there. All right, moving right along in music news. We've got a bit of a Brittney update.
It's our new recurring segment here in the Media Boat Podcast. Your Brittney update. Drop
of It's Brittney, bitch.
Yeah, right.
Drop.
We don't have a soundboard. Someday.
Yep, we'll get there. Hey, another one of things we'll get there too. Well, after years of silence, Brittney Spears will speak to the probate court in June regarding her long-standing legal conservatorship. At the hearing on Tuesday, a Los Angeles Superior Court Judge, Brenda Penny, scheduled a hearing on June 23rd to allow Spears to speak on the, quote, status of the conservatorship. Samuel Ingram, the probate attorney appointed to represent Spears in the case, asked the court to set the date on an expedited basis, but did not indicate what Spears would say. So we got a potential date here.
Yeah.
Mark it on your calendars, people. June 23rd, Brittney Spears will speak.
So, yeah, this is a big deal. If you watch that documentary, it's said multiple times that she has not been able to speak in court on her own behalf. This will be the first time she'll be able to do so. So it'll be interesting to see how she approaches this. I would not be surprised if she kind of hedges her bets here and she does talk about like it not being the worst situation and she does try to not completely throw her father under the bus. That's my guess. because she seems like a genuinely nice person that doesn't want to burn a bridge with her family. That being said, this is also her opportunity to make a firm case for herself and be like, but I would really prefer it if it wasn't like this. This is her chance to really speak for herself in a narrative that has so far just been other people speaking for her.
So the best case scenario is that she comes out and says, what my dad did over the past 10 years was good, but here's how I have improved over those same 10 years and have a better grasp on my life now.
Of course, I could be completely wrong. Maybe she is willing to throw her dad under the bus, and maybe she just tells like the most brutal, honest truth ever. Who knows? I could be totally wrong.
And if that happens, that will be our story of the year.
Yeah, seriously. That'd be like televised court like stuff that we haven't seen since like OJ.
Michael Jackson,
like yeah, or like the Michael Jackson stuff. Like that'd be crazy. But hey, we'll get there. Also, no idea whether or not this will be accessible to people outside of that courtroom, right? We don't know if this is going to be recorded. So we'll see.
That being said, even though there won't be any cameras indoors,
potentially, we don't know.
There will for sure be some type of press conference probably set up.
Maybe.
By one of the lawyers to say what was said and say their piece, no matter what happens.
Some sort of follow-up will take place at some point. So we'll mark it on the calendars and
circle back to this in 2 months' time.
2 months.
All right. Speaking of 2 months, has it been that long since Eric Church put out an album?
No, longer, but well, no, it's actually been only a week. Tell me, tell me about the second, or I should say third, in a series of albums that he's released.
So last week we talked about Heart.
Yeah.
Well, this week we're talking about the tangential partner to Heart, which is Soul.
Disney Pixar's Soul.
Yes. No, wait, hold on.
No.
Academy Award winning Soul by Eric Church. No, that's not right either.
No.
That's John Baptiste.
The soul as in heart and soul.
Yes. Yeah. Which you can't listen to the ampersand and unless you buy the vinyl record.
Right.
Which is currently backstocked until September. So good luck getting it.
Okay. Well, so let's skip to Soul then. Tell me about Eric Church's Soul.
It is exactly what you think when you think of Soul by Eric Church.
Okay.
Blues rock album.
Okay.
And more or less, that's kind of what it is here. You got a lot of, pardon the pun, but soul vibes. Which is exactly, I assume, what he's going for. Sure. A lot of blues rock in the beginning. It's very easy to listen to, more so than Heart. But it is also a good companion piece to Heart. Mm-hmm. I see why he split it up, but at the same time, he didn't need to split this up because they both play off each other in a very nice ebb and flow kind of way. I think I prefer the songs on Heart compared to the songs on Soul.
Okay.
But in terms of a complete album or recording session that Eric Church wants to put out, they work nice hand in hand.
Yeah.
As I said last week, if you'd like Eric Church, you know what you're getting yourself into already. Right. A lot of this, it doesn't change between Heart and Soul.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it doesn't change between Heart and Soul.
It just sounds like it's just a different side of the kind of like the second half of what would probably in most times be released as a double album, right? Where it's like trying something different here, trying something different here, but it's all still very Eric Church.
Yeah, the Heart is we're trying something different that's more mainstream. The Soul is I'm trying something different that's more of what I would want to put out, but at the same time, it all sounds like Eric Church, which is not a bad thing when you're Eric Church.
Yeah, no, not a bad thing at all.
No. So if you liked Heart, definitely give Soul a listen. You might just automatically revert back to Heart like I did. but that's not to say that Soul is a bad album.
Okay.
There are a couple good songs on there on Soul that I do like. but I like the songs on Heart more so.
But just like Heart and Soul in most situations, they work best together.
Yes, they do. I've yet to listen to this whole thing like one after the other, or even intersplicing.
Make a playlist
on a random shuffle.
Just make a playlist of both of them back to back. Try that out.
Yeah, maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like Eric Church, you probably like Soul. It is what it is. There's not a whole lot to say, because at this point, Eric Church is a well-known commodity. Either you like him or you don't, especially in the country music scene.
Sure.
So while it's not mind-blowing, like album of the year worthy, it's definitely good Eric Church. But then again, is there such thing as bad Eric Church?
Not so far. Not that I can think of. All right. Cool.
Did you listen to anything?
Nope. We can move right on.
You gotta listen to the album and give your thoughts at some point.
At some point. When something comes out.
And something comes out. All right. So let's move right ahead then. Ooh, speeding through here to video games.
Yeah.
All right. And we start with new releases.
Ooh.
Hey, remember that free game that I think was on your list last year?
It was, yes.
Yes. Genshin Impact?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It can now be played on your brand new PS5. Hey!
Yes.
I think it's still already free, right?
Yeah, still free. It was already playable through the PS4 version, but with a higher frame rate. This, though, is a PS5 native version coming out this week. So if you want to have pure PS5 powered Genshin Impact, go for it. One note. Your save progress will only carry over from the PS4 version. PS5 version, you cannot import saves from the PC or mobile. It's just a warning there.
Even though you could use the same player code?
Still does not work in between those environments. If you're on PC, you can play on mobile. If you're playing on mobile, you can play on PC. But if you're on PlayStation, that is a walled garden that you can only play on PlayStation.
This sounds familiar from Sony.
It does, huh? Doesn't it?
It does.
But yeah, so just be warned. But yeah, so that's basically me saying I want to try the PS5 version, but I would be starting from scratch if I did. None of the things
I would not.
Yeah. Not what
I only played
recommend.
It on the PS4 version.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't recommend it, but yeah, I might check it out just to see how it runs, but it would suck to start from nothing on that.
But now you can use those lessons that you learned and
maybe
apply them here. Maybe
no. We'll see. Anyways,
we also have The Colonists for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch. Total War: Rome Remastered for the PC. Insurmountable for the PC. R-Type Final 2 for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And lastly, your big releases of the week.
2 big exclusives.
First up, we have Returnal for the PS5. That's the roguelike game where every time you die, the map switches up. But hey, you get new abilities.
Yeah.
So prepare to die a lot.
Yeah.
Basically. Or return a lot, as it's eternally returning in Returnal. And the other new game is not a remake, not a remaster. No, it is a completely new Pokemon Snap game. That's right. The time has finally come for new Pokemon Snap on the Switch. By the way, I have to thank you again for this belated Christmas gift.
Yes. So next week we'll have thoughts from you about Pokemon Snap. I'll also watch Christy play it. She pre-ordered it. So we'll be able to talk about some Pokemon Snap next week. So look forward to that.
If you did not pre-order it, don't worry. There's no real big bonus anywhere.
No.
Except from GameStop, which is constantly trying to get me to pre-order it, even throwing in a free 2-sided poster for it.
Right.
But I'm like, but I don't need a poster. Well, until we can enjoy that on our
Mhm.
Nintendo Switches, I guess I'm stuck playing old games.
Like what old games on the Switch?
Like a 2-year-old game. That's right. A game that came out 2 years ago is finally getting an update.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Super Mario Party. Yes, that Super Mario Party from Konami.
Yep. Yep.
So, despite over the past 2 years selling 13 million copies, Nintendo has never really given Super Mario Party the post-launch support that, 13 million copies would probably deserve.
You would think.
It seems especially criminal considering that the game, despite being, well lauded entry in the series, also suffered somewhat of a dearth of available board games for players to engage with DLC, seemed inevitable,
Right.
especially as the company stated a desire for DLC for their big titles earlier that same year of 2018 when it came out.
And to make matters even worse, consider for a moment that in the time of the pandemic, the only way to play multiplayer for this game was to have people over. And when you stopped being able to have people over, a lot of people probably stopped playing Super Mario Party.
Now, Super Mario Party wasn't without multiplayer because you could always do the mini games online.
But you had to be, for the full experience, you had to play together on the same TV.
Correct. But as time has passed, it seems that the inevitability was presumptuous because 30 months since the launch, it would have been fair to assume that Nintendo and developer ND Cube had simply put the game on the shelf and forgot about it. Until now. So, Nintendo has offered an update to Super Mario Party with online play in and out of the blue, absolutely nowhere unexpected announcement.
Yep.
Online play supports all of the boards. I'm sorry, all 4 boards in the game and 70 mini games, as well as the 2v2 partner mode or team mode. I don't know why it's partner, but it's teams. It also supports the invite friend feature, being the first Nintendo published game to actually take advantage of the Switch's built-in friend invite feature.
Yes, you read that correct. Nintendo had yet to put out a game that used their own online feature to invite somebody to a game until just now.
Right. Meaning that all the time that Smash Brothers had been out, all the time Splatoon 2 had been out.
You had to give people codes.
Yep. Which is why people were always asking, hey, what's your friend code?
Yeah.
What's your friend code?
That's brutal. Brutal.
Yes. Do note that the team behind Super Mario Party was not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. No, they were busy working on one of my favorite games from last year, Clubhouse Games 51.
That is true, which does have online play.
Yeah, it does.
Weirdly enough.
Used it. But yes, now we can successfully play Mario Party with other people who have Mario Party as well.
Yeah.
I believe both systems need to have Mario Party in order to be played.
Yes.
It's not a free for all.
No, it's not a shared thing.
Right.
You have to both have copies. But yeah.
Yep. I think the only one that does that is currently Mario Kart, but it's only near field communication for that to work.
Right.
You can't do online if you don't have the game.
As far as I know, that is correct.
Also, you need to buy Nintendo Online, which is $20 a year to use this feature.
Also key, yes.
Not stated anywhere, but heavily implied, seeing as it's online.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, do we get to play each other, or wait? You don't.
I don't own a copy of that game.
Not yet. Check under your chair. No, that's not how that works.
Anyway,
I'm sure. Nintendo games are notorious for never going down in price.
Going down in price.
You may be able to find this one. used somewhere.
Who can say?
Who could say? Let's get into our final story of the evening. Sticking with Nintendo and Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah.
Well, Capcom announced alongside the new Monster Hunter Rise title update that the game has hit 6 million sales on Switch through a combination of retail shipments and digital sales. In the pantheon of total Capcom sales, this puts Monster Hunter Rise ahead. That's right, you heard me right. Ahead of Street Fighter V in total sales, and just short of Street Fighter 2. It should beat the World Warriors relatively soon, making the Switch version of Monster Hunter Rise the best-selling single platform title in the company's history. The company being Capcom. To be clear, this doesn't mean Rise has outsold World, which is on 3 platforms and thus is non-exclusive. It means the single platform version of Rise on Switch will have outsold Street Fighter 2, the World Warriors on the SNES. That's right, way back then, which itself sold 6.3 million copies. When the PC version of Rise does come out, that categorization, however, will get readjusted. But for now, Monster Hunter Rise can be considered a success for Capcom.
Oh, yeah. This is, of course, continuing the huge success that Monster Hunter World was on every platform it was released. Capcom immediately said after that game's release that it became the best-selling game that they've ever had. Of course, that is thanks to being on multiple platforms. But what they're showing here is that even if they have a single platform for a Monster Hunter game, it still sells like hotcakes. People love Monster Hunter, and it doesn't matter which region you're in anymore. It sold really well in Japan, and now it's selling even well here in the US. It's a global phenomenon at this point. Every single one of these that they're putting out is selling so well that it's topping their charts.
Who could have known that fighting giant monsters would be a recipe for a success?
Yeah, it also proves that Rise, unlike World, which is closer, World kind of tries to get more people in the fold and tries to be a little bit more newbie friendly. Rise kind of steps back a little, is more traditional, and yet it's still selling way faster than I'm sure that they anticipated it to be, which means it's not even reliant on the game. It's just the brand is so strong that it's going to sell no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's quite the success story. Then again, Capcom is kind of known for being a success story itself.
Yeah.
All right. I've spent my time playing Final Fantasy VII, which you can watch streamed on Twitch.
Yes.
What you can't watch, however, is your experience with the show 21, because you've yet to have a stream for it.
Yeah, maybe sometime I will get around to that. And I don't have a whole lot more thoughts than I did last week. I just want to kind of do a little follow-up after spending a nice, good, solid week with the PS5 version of this game and with the PlayStation 5 as a whole. And yeah, I think I'm settling into a groove, just like I did with 19, where I've gotten my player, I've gotten used to the pitch timing now, and I'm just pitching smoothly through every game. So last week when we left off, I was in the AA team trying to make it to the majors. Well, at the end of the season, even though I made the all-star team, I still didn't make it to the majors. They put me up to AAA, so I'm playing for the Salt Lake Bees now. But at the end of my first Bees season, they said, hey, do you want to come hang out with the real Angels at spring training? And I was like, do I? So I pitched a few spring training games, and then they put me right back into the AAA when the season started.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. So though it seems to be that it's not necessarily that I'm not performing well enough. I think the thing is that they have such a stacked virtual starting pitcher lineup that I think that they don't need me. So yeah, that might be the real reason why they aren't calling me up yet, is what I think, is that they just don't have room for me, which makes sense. So unless I change what I am, which I don't think I'm going to, I enjoy being a starting pitcher. I think that it's just going to probably take a while for me to get to the majors, but I'm still having fun throwing pitches, and I was at least able to play a few games with the real boys. So I was not too disappointed. But yeah, it remains still a pretty good version of that game, even with the minor disappointments that I talked about last week. Yeah, still part of me still wishes that Road to the Show was as full featured as it used to be, and the couple things that they pulled out of it to make it feel a little lifeless in comparison. And the endless podcast and interview segments that happen are just really grating. I've started skipping them at this point. So yeah, I don't know.
The fake interviews.
You're right. I've started skipping them
The generic
completely
interviews.
because they're just so generic and nothing. Like there's nothing. This doesn't help me play the game. Like having somebody talk around me the entire interview. No, it's not fun.
So for the lead up for the NFL draft,
yeah,
commercials have been doing a lot more of those fake interviews kind of stuff of talking about fake players.
You hate to see it.
Or just generic players because they're commercials, so they're applying to everybody. And it's like, yeah, that's the generic soundbite you use.
Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. I'm still enjoying it. I will play more of it. And yeah, looking forward to you eventually getting your hands on a version of this game and giving it a spin.
Yep. We'll be doing that soon.
Right.
But we'll be doing that after the podcast here. Because
which is?
I think we're done here.
Done now. So yes, thank you for joining us for this week's edition of the Media Boat Podcast. I will plug away. We'll be back next week for another episode. And if you want to see that in video form, you can do that, and this week's as well as an archive of our old ones. You can do so on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Media Boat Podcast, find our page, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, the whole shameel. You can also find us in audio form on podcast services such as Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Just search Media Boat Podcast. You can also find our archive of shows on MediaBoatPodcast.com. You can also find us on social media channels like Twitter. On Twitter, our handle is @MediaBoatCast. Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast. You'll find our page. You can comment there as well. And if you have any questions, comments, feedback that you want to give the show, please email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. That'll do it. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode. We'll have Pokemon Snap thoughts and all sorts of other surprises that we don't even know about yet. So tune in.
Yep, we'll have thoughts on Pokemon Snap. We'll have thoughts on probably Keenan and Young Rock, as those should be ending. Our season ending thoughts on that.
Yep.
And anything else that we are tingling into.
Yes, tingling into. We love to tingle into things here.
I mean, every now and then I fall into new stuff that just randomly pops up.
It's true. Who knows what we could be talking about next week. So that's why you watch the show. Stay tuned. Surprises. All right. See you guys.
All right. Bye.